What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I will be covering my predictions for the Future Stars promo. That'll be out on Friday around 6 PM or so, for what in the past has actually been one of the best promos of the year. I'm almost dead certain that they won't be reusing the same players as last year, hence why in this team I might be missing out on players such as Vinicius Jr. or João Felix. Either way, this promo, I have no doubt it will be great, and so make sure you watch till the end of the video to not miss out on any information or, just the predictions of players that I've chose to put in the squad. Also, if you are new to the channel, as always, why not drop a like on the video to show your support, and subscribe if you haven't already. And also feel free to suggest any players you think should make themselves into this team, and maybe players I've just missed out on. With the intro out of the way, let's get on with the players. As with most big promos, I will usually allude to, putting together a full squad with reserves, bench, and then the starting 11. Especially with promos like this, like to this level, where I seriously don't want to miss out on any players. And so first up, with the reserve players, as they've been on screen, as you've been watching, I do believe that Tierney as Arsenal's left back. Pretty sure he doesn't start as of now, but it won't be long before he does become the starting fullback. Either that or he leaves. Either way, Arsenal do have a very good player on their hands, and I do believe he's worthy of receiving a very interesting special card, as well as Dean Henderson as the goalkeeper, being my current favourite English shot stopper in real life. Marseille's Kamara, Zagadou and McKennie, both of Bundesliga. Tierney is actually a player that I have looked towards using in any career mode games that I've played. This guy is able to play on either flanks, and I really do think that he could become an integral part of, even the Scotland's national team. Henderson, as one of Sheffield's most key performers, especially this season, deserves recognition for how he's made what I believe is a loan move from Man United into somewhat of a breakthrough season, being one of the standout players in the league. For both of the French centre-halves, as I mentioned, also seem to be doing pretty well in real life, especially at being their age. With most of these players, you will find that they are all pretty young players, or at least young in terms of, professional football. And given that their clubs will, eventually run out of solid defensive options, I can see both of these guys being very crucial to their squads. Equally, I can imagine Zagadou, I'll single him out for a second, being loaned to, let's say, an English club or just somewhere else other than Dortmund in the coming years to, boost his experience. And if he was to transfer, I reckon he would be a very valuable player as, a future French international. And then finally, McKennie as one of the few North American prospects, a bright spark, aside the likes of, Pulisic. This guy would be a very usable midfield card in FIFA 20, having a pretty all-rounded card, with some pretty nice stats. I wouldn't at all be surprised if they did make him an objective player though, as he's not got the most groundbreaking card. Recently, promos have been stretched over the, 2-week span as well, so we could actually see 2 squads come out of this promo. And I guess we'll just have to see as the week goes on. With more bench players, I felt like I had to include the likes of both Reece and Daniel James as future internationals. Kangin Lee, currently at Valencia I believe, as well as another 2 hugely talented Premier League stars. I do believe that I've been a little bit strict on, let's say, Martinez's rating, as I actually think that he's already very good in terms of just being able to beat his man, and I do believe that he is somewhat Premier League standard, and it won't be long before he's fitting into the starter team. And I do feel like Arsenal do have a handful of decent players on their hands, and to be honest, I think it'd be pretty sad to let him go, but this guy would be very expensive, I'm telling you now. And I think I'm right in saying that Ronaldinho said that he will make it big one day, which if so, that's pretty mental. I mean, it's not every day that you get one of the best footballers ever saying how, he believes in you and can't wait for his glory days or whatever. Reece James is one of a handful of Chelsea players in this whole promo that I've put together, and certainly part of a huger pool of England international prospects. I think Chelsea's current team on FIFA 20 is pretty poor, and that's mostly due to the fact that, they don't have many experienced players in the starting 11. You get the players like Jorginho, Kante, Willian, Kepa. They're about the only real, decently rated players that obviously get recent starts in the team, regular stats that is. And I think it's expected that a lot of Chelsea players will receive future star cards, as they're all just very young and are more for the future. Bearing in mind that Reece James was at Derby County last year and he was their player of the season, almost bringing his squad to, you know, the Premier League. But equally, I do feel like whilst we're bringing in a lot of Premier League players, it is very important to use international players as well, such as Lee, as shown on screen. Without knowing too much about this guy prior, I have noticed that he does look insanely skillful, and I can imagine he is a player that will be valued at a high price, both in FIFA, if he does get a card, and in real life. Onto the goalkeeper slot with Merritt, as the starting keeper spot. Could turn around and be, you know, an absolute star. We have seen a lot of Italian shot stoppers throughout the years that have reached, you know, the highlights and been, you know, really standout players. We could see this guy, you know, sprout to being that good. Only time will tell. I can see this guy getting his time to shine in a few years or so, if not already. And it helps that he is homegrown and is very young. I do think it's harder for young goalkeepers to sprout into, you know, mainstream and maintain that top form, especially as it's arguably the most pressuring and most difficult position or role to play. Obviously, to introduce more Prem players, as we have the second Chelsea candidate on the screen, as well as one of Europe's top potential centre-halves, alongside William Saliba, I believe his name is. Currently Etienne, I believe. All three of these players are really deserving of the recognition. You know, with Saliba being the lowest rated of the bunch and yet still having a very meta card. Fikayo Tomori as the England international now, having gotten his England call-up, is a definite England starter for me, you know, paired with the likes of Gomez. I think they should be the main two centre-halves. With him being 19 or so and yet still managing to score not only the goal of the season contender on his debut, that is, he also managed to get his England call-up, as I've mentioned, being a definite starter for Chelsea, that is. At least until recently, where maybe he picked up an injury or two and he's fallen out of favour a little bit, you know, with the likes of Rudiger returning fit. For me, the ideal partnership for Chelsea would be Tomori and Rudiger, or if possible, you know, a summer replacement for the German. Possibly a veteran like Kalidou Koulibaly. Leicester City's possible second bright spark, as in their second best player in terms of, you know, being like the future best players. For me, as you can see with Soyuncu, I do think he's a very good player, and with the stats that I've given him, I'm sure that you can tell that already. And despite having uniquely odd long hair, it really doesn't stop this guy from proving his worth, even in what seems to be his debut season, if I'm correct. He's that good that Leicester were even linked with more Turkish centre-halves, just because they knew how much success they'd gotten out of this guy. Onto the midfield with Paqueta, I believe, Tonali and Mount as the next three. They all look very good. Mount, as one of Chelsea's top performers of the season so far, has come under a little bit of criticism in, you know, the recent few games for his lack of consistency. He does look pretty tired, to be fair to him, and after a bit of resting, I do believe that he can reach that top form again, continue to hurry Chelsea back into the top third competition. Paqueta and Tonali are both interesting. Both aren't really spoken of though. I don't hear too much about either of these guys, and both are in major leagues, having them both be in the Serie A. Paqueta, as hopefully a Brazilian international in the coming years, could become a top player, hence why he's, you know, a higher rating than Mount. And Tonali, as a guy who admittedly does have a higher card already in FIFA 20, being a league SBC, shouldn't really take away from this guy the fact that he does deserve to be in this team, and he could easily make the Italian squad, you know, in hopes to revitalise their country's international rep. And finally, for the front three, we do have 4 players now, and all of them are huge potential. All of them being, you know, opposed huge leagues, and all of them look amazing. Rodrigo being the first one, as a mirror image of Vinicius of last year, does look to be another huge La Liga star. Only, I guess, the difference being Junior did have the 5-star skills or whatever. Martinez, likely to have a decently higher card than I've actually given him. The 90 really just doesn't do his season justice, and I probably would go back and change it now if I could. HALAND, as one of the best classic target man strikers in the world. He's got a very old-fashioned player style, but it works well, and especially with him, you know, playing against a decently competitive league, but I guess then... And Hudson-Odoi, as a recently rehabilitated player, and now, you know, a much more confident wide playing winger, skillful and decisive. It will be interesting to see if he ever does actually get game time over the likes of Sterling and Sancho though. Tough competition, to say the least. Now, with Lautaro Martinez, he has been a commonly mentioned player, even on my channel so far this season. With the Argentinian wonder kid tallying, I believe, 15 goal contributions just in 20 games. Erling Haaland, as Norway's best player by far, was a huge transfer target for the likes of Manchester United, and I suppose Dortmund just swooped in, took him essentially, and for a good price too, especially considering that without starting an actual match just yet, the lad has scored 5 times already in just 2 appearances off the bench. With me mentioning pretty much all the players I need to do, that pretty much wraps up my predictions and ideas set for the upcoming FIFA 20 promo. Expect a little player review sometime soon, just for anyone, you know, wondering how good specific past foot cards really are. Just discussing, you know, how to use those types of players and so on. And yeah, with all this been said, I guess I'll see you in my next video. Peace.